Now for a Western Mass News exclusive. New details tonight surrounding a defrocked priest who authorities say was responsible for the murder of altar boy Danny Croteau nearly 50 years ago.
Western Mass News learning of new allegations against former priest Richard Lavigne, who died days before the Hampden DA could bring murder charges against him. Western Mass News reporter Audrey Russo has the story.
Danny Croteau is one of those names that never left the heart of the Western Mass community. The 13-year-old's murder went unsolved by the law for nearly 50 years. In the eyes of some in the community, however, priest Richard Lavigne was always seen as guilty.
And they all would think that he did it. Yeah, that was always the rumor.
The priest was convicted of child sex abuse involving different children in 1992, defrocked in the early 2000s, and died in May of 2021. Just as the Hampden district attorney planned to get an arrest warrant for the 1972 Croteau murder. Lavigne had even recently admitted to assaulting Croteau the last time he saw him alive.
I don't remember hitting him down by the riverbank, but giving him a good shove.
But the news from the DA was poor consolation to those who felt Lavigne not only got away with murder, but with years of sexually abusing other children as well.
Very late May, early June, a new victim of Father Lavigne contacted me who was sexually abused at St. Mary's. And he wanted to file a claim.
Mitchell Garabedian is an attorney who represents victims of sexual abuse at the hands of priests. He says these new allegations show just how many victims Lavigne left behind before getting defrocked.
They feel as though Richard Lavigne got out the easy way. He should have spent some time in prison.
Western Mass News spoke with this man, who we're not identifying because he says he was a victim of sex abuse by a different priest within the Springfield diocese. He says he went to the same school as Croteau, and his abuse started shortly after Croteau died.
I had no self-esteem left or confidence, in those days.
This man says the priest who abused him was eventually defrocked, like Lavigne, but is still living free.
Never spent a day in jail, right?
How does that make you feel to know this?
It's terrible, yeah. All of them have escaped justice.
One person who publicly stood up against Lavigne and the Springfield diocese was James Scahill. In the early 2000s, he was a priest at St. Michael's Church in East Longmeadow. He and the parishioners held back the 6% of weekly collections that were normally turned over to the diocese, vowing to do so until Lavigne was no longer on the church payroll and the defrocking process began. The gesture making as many symbolic waves as financial ones.
We would certainly do it all over again because, honest, when I listened to the people and knew they were right, a better priest, I suppose, would have gone over to church and prayed. I just looked at the church and I said, God help me, God give me strength.
Scahill says that wasn't popular with leaders in the diocese. The bishop at the time, Thomas Dupre, would later be accused of child sex abuse himself, one of two Springfield bishops to face allegations to this day. Scahill says the death of Lavigne only furthers the call for stricter punishments, not just for abusers,
but they're criminal enablers. Those are the ones that should be in jail and not on some regal thrones of episcopacies.
A push for accountability that Danny Croteau's own brother Joseph told Western Mass News in a recent interview needs to be continued.
We need 1,000 more Jim Scahills because that's what's going to keep our society safe.
In Springfield, Audrey Russo, Western Mass News.
And for more information on Danny Croteau's now closed case, you can head to our website, westernmassnews.com.